4,500 years ago, this was empty desert rock under a merciless sun with nothing but wind and silence.
Faster!
A ruler obsessed with immortality ordered the tallest structure
We will finish before the sun sets!
ever imagined to rise from this burning, unforgiving ground immediately. They had no cranes, no wheels, no iron, only copper, wood, rope, and relentless coordinated strength. First, they carved the foundation, leveling acres of limestone with water channels guided by gravity alone. I am standing where they stood, on rock flattened with nothing but water, patience and belief. Then they aligned the base using stars, locking true north into 6 million tons of stone. 20,000 labourers arrived, organised into crews paid in bread, beer and purpose. Inside the quarry wall, men swing dolerite pounders, slowly bruising limestone into submission hour after hour. Below ground level, teams pry beneath the block, levering stone upward millimetre by millimetre. I step aside as ropes tighten and the stone begins sliding toward daylight. Blocks are dragged across compacted sand while men pour water ahead to reduce brutal friction. At the riverbank, barges wait as crews load granite blocks during the Nile flood season. Up the rising platform, teams haul stone up an earthen ramp carved against the growing pyramid. Inside the structure, narrow passages form as stones lock into place with gypsum mortar. I stand within this narrow passage, feeling the weight of millions of tons above. At the summit platform, wind batters crews balancing blocks hundreds of feet above ground. In hidden chambers below, granite beams are maneuvered through impossibly tight interior corridors. Counterweight systems hidden in galleries help pull heavier stones upward without collapsing exhausted crews. Above the king's chamber, relieving spaces are stacked to redirect crushing vertical pressure outward. Up here you start to understand the scale of this place. Every block you see had to be dragged up these ramps by hand, step by step, thousands of times, until this mountain of stone slowly rose out of the desert. Year after year, the structure rises, and the higher it climbs, the smaller the work platform becomes, turning every stone placement into a careful act of balance, coordination, and raw endurance. Far below, fresh blocks continue arriving from the river, pulled across the desert by synchronized crews whose rhythm must match perfectly, or the enormous load will twist, stall, or snap the ropes. Deep inside the structure, crews carve ventilation shafts toward the sky, chiseling narrow tunnels through solid limestone while trusting their measurements will someday meet the outer face perfectly. On the outer face, masons begin shaping casing stones, carefully smoothing limestone surfaces that will eventually transform the stepped mountain into a seamless geometric monument. Standing here halfway up the structure, I can feel the wind rushing past unfinished stones, while teams above and below keep dragging blocks toward the summit without stopping. Far upriver at Aswan, granite for the king's chamber is carved from harder stone that copper tools cannot easily cut. Those granite blocks weigh dozens of tons, and moving them requires hundreds of men pulling together without losing rhythm. Before the granite ceiling can be installed, crews build temporary timber scaffolds and ramps inside the chamber, carefully preparing the space where the massive roof stones will soon be maneuvered. I am standing inside the king's chamber itself, surrounded by enormous granite walls that were hauled here from Aswan, and the precision of these stones feels almost impossible, even standing here today. Above the chamber, builders construct relieving spaces, empty stone layers designed to redirect crushing pressure away from the fragile granite ceiling below. At the construction harbour beside the Nile, crews unload newly delivered limestone blocks, while scribes record shipments, and teams prepare sledges for the long desert haul toward the growing pyramid. Near the pyramid base, specialised crews sharpen copper chisels constantly, because cutting limestone quickly dulls the metal, and construction cannot pause for long. At the ramp entrance, overseers signal multiple pulling teams so heavy limestone blocks begin moving together, keeping the entire construction flow synchronized without delays that could stall thousands of workers. From this height, the desert stretches forever, and I can see crews across every level hauling stones upward, while the monument slowly approaches the moment when its final crown will rise. Stone polishers climb the upper tiers carrying rubbing stones, beginning the long process of smoothing casing blocks that will transform the stepped structure into a brilliant geometric surface. At the summit platform, crews carefully guide the pyramidion capstone across wooden rollers, preparing the final placement that will complete the monument's towering triangular form. The final stone rises slowly as hundreds pull ropes together, lifting the pyramidion toward the narrow peak where the last alignment must be perfect. Once placed, masons immediately begin removing ramps and polishing the outer surface so the pyramid shines brilliantly across the desert landscape. Standing beside the finished structure, I realize every stone here was lifted by human strength alone. Thousands of workers coordinating effort across decades to create something meant to last forever. When the ramps finally disappear, the pyramid emerges as a perfect geometric mountain rising from the desert floor. The white limestone casing reflects sunlight so intensely that travelers can see the pyramid shining from extraordinary distances across Egypt.
Temples rise beside the pyramid as priests prepare the sacred complex surrounding the tomb of Pharaoh Khufu. When the pharaoh finally dies, the burial procession arrives, carrying his body toward the chamber prepared deep within the pyramid. I am standing at the pyramid entrance where the king's final journey begins, and the scale of this monument suddenly feels even greater when you imagine the thousands who built it. Inside the pyramid, priests carry the pharaoh through narrow corridors towards the granite chamber prepared to hold him forever. Granite plugs slide into the ascending passage, sealing the burial chamber and protecting the king's resting place deep within the pyramid. When the workers leave, the pyramid stands silent over the desert, its chambers hidden and its purpose fulfilled. For thousands of years, the pyramid remains the tallest structure on Earth, an impossible monument built with stone, mathematics, and human determination. Some ancient traditions claim the pyramid was not only a tomb, but a device designed to focus unseen energies that priests believed could transform consciousness and guide the soul beyond death. Others believe the builders possessed lost knowledge of astronomy and sacred geometry, allowing the pyramid to align with stars and celestial cycles far more precisely than historians expected. Some theories claim unknown teachers once visited ancient civilizations, sharing mathematical knowledge that helped early architects design monuments aligned perfectly with earth and sky. Another theory suggests the pyramid was designed as an energy amplifier, shaped to collect and redirect subtle forces believed by some cultures to exist within the earth itself. Hidden passages inside the pyramid continue fueling speculation, especially narrow shafts and sealed stone doors discovered deep within corridors that may lead to chambers never opened. Even today, the Great Pyramid still stands, proving that ancient builders achieved something extraordinary with simple tools, relentless labor, and vision powerful enough to outlive empires. Thanks for watching.